The Opinionated Idiot. The Opinionated Idiot live show.
We're live. It's Saturday. It is April 8th, 2023. How's everybody doing on this special Saturday night here on the Opinionated Idiot YouTube channel? This is our live show, little pop-up show this evening because why not, right? Why not? What they say, some will come, some will go, some will stick around, some will not. But it's good. It's good. How's everybody doing this evening? Welcome back. I see the chat is filling up. Let's take a look and see who's here. Little Messy's in the house. Hello, how are you? George is here. We got Dr. Bob that says a special edition of Opie. What could be better? Mandy Joe is here. I have to say, Mandy Joe. Hello, Mandy. Thanks for the emails today. Appreciate it. Nice corresponding with you. Who else do we got? Hey, we got Mr. O'Brien is back in the house. Danielle is here. And MRG is here. It says, hello, all. Let's go. It's a happy Easter. Yes, happy Easter. If you celebrate Easter, like we say here in the Northeast, Easter tomorrow. Hope everybody gets their bunny eggs and, I don't know, chocolate, just more stuff to rot our brains and teeth, right? What could be better? Terry Dean's here. Hey, Terry, how are you? Well, like I said, welcome in. We'll do a live show tonight, hang out with you fine folks. So what do we have going on in the world? We got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on in the world that's not cool. I'm going to pull up the story out from San Francisco first. Cash App founder Bob Lee is mortally wounded and collapses. Suspect still at large. I gotta be honest with you, I don't even think they have a fucking suspect. And what I've seen so far of this story and this video is pretty pathetic. Bob was stabbed in San Francisco. Seemed that he had tried to get some help, tried to flag a car down. The car would not stop. Car kept going. And unfortunately, Bob Lee passed away. And the thing that I look at it too is wallet wasn't taken, phone wasn't taken. Nothing stolen. Was this a hit? Could these possibly be a hit? But let's look at this article from TMZ. It says Cash App founder, fatal stabbing video shows mortally wounded Bob Lee collapse, suspect still at large. And I'll tell you, this is a hard video to watch. Extremely difficult video to watch. Some still shots here. It looks like Bob collapses and then actually gets back up on his feet. They have a little kind of a GIF file down here, or a GIF file, whatever you want to say. We'll play that in a second. So it says, dramatic new video shows shocking moments as Cash App founder Bob Lee collapses in front of San Francisco building and desperately tries to flag down a passing car while dialing 911 after being brutally stabbed. This is where we're at. This is where we're at, folks, in America right now. People are mortally wounded. They're letting you know that they have an issue. They're letting you know that they have help, need help, and no one stops. This is where we're at in America now. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And this poor guy died. Says below, check out the surveillance footage obtained by Daily Mail depicting a badly injured Lee staggering up an apartment building early Tuesday morning before he dropped to the ground. Not another person was in sight. And this is that video here. It's just terrible to watch this. Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Says at first Lee seemed motionless, as if on the brink of death, but then he got to his knees and he called police using a cell phone in his bloody hands. He allegedly told the 911 operator, "Help, someone has stabbed me." Suddenly, Lee propped up and waved at what appeared to be a passing vehicle. He then struggled to his feet and clutched the stab wound to his torso as he walked off, presumably to get help. In another part of the video, Lee approaches a car that had stopped in the intersection, although it's hard to see what happened next. Lee reportedly lifted his shirt, revealing his injuries to the driver as he begged for assistance. But the motorist impotently sped away, leaving Lee alone in the middle of an empty street. First responders arrived at the scene and provided medical treatment to Lee, who later died at a hospital. And like I said, it's strange. No robbery, no no wallet taken, no keys, no credit cards, nothing. Could this be a hit? Could this have been a hit on Bob Lee? But this is the thing. This is where we're at. This is where we're at in America. No one fucking helps anybody anymore. It's disgusting. This man was clearly in trouble, and you can see in some of the videos that he, has blood on his hand. I mean, it's visibly that he has a mortal wound. And if anything, if the police find out the person that drove away from from Bob Lee, if they drove away and they are caught and questioned, they should be held responsible as well too, to not help him. Young guy, family man, had everything going for him. The unknown assailant fled and was still at large as this morning. At a press conference Wednesday, San Francisco police Bill Scott declined to give a motive or say the attack was random or targeted. And I'll tell you, San Francisco got a big crime problem out there. Big crime problem. Need to clean that up quick. The way that it's just strange. The way that are, and I know this is probably going to get a little political, and I may offend some people here today, and I might have some people that unsubscribe. But if you continue in that revisionist cycle of the people that you're voting in to protect you and protect the laws and defund the police and all this shit, and you allow people to openly shoot heroin out in the streets, and you got safe spaces for them to shoot heroin and drug addicts and all that stuff, maybe it's time to start thinking we change course. Maybe we try these people over here, because nothing's changing with these guys or ladies on this side. Maybe we try these guys or ladies on this side. Maybe. It's a thought, right? Cops reportedly recovered a kitchen knife with a 4-inch blade in the parking lot near the crime scene. Elon Musk and other high-profile tech execs were outraged by the murder, and some took to social media to air grievances to San Francisco officials over what they view as a rise in violent crime in the city. Lee, who was married with 2 children, as the creator of Cash App, a payment service in which people can transfer funds to each using mobile phones before his death, 43 years old, was the chief product officer of MobileCon in cryptocurrency startup. Sad, completely sad. A brain, a smart guy, a brain now that we will lose forever. All right, let's pull up this story again. I get another article here from the New York Post. It says bystander ignored dying Cash App founder Bob Lee as he begged for help. Tragic video shows dying Cash App founder Bob Lee was ignored by bystanders as he begged for help after being stabbed in San Francisco early on Tuesday Before succumbing to his injuries, the 43-year-old chief product officer, Mobile Khan, walked up to a parked car that had hazards flashing on and tried to get help, according to surveillance footage obtained by San Francisco standards. Footage showed Lee lifting his shirt to show the driver his 2 stab wounds, but collapsed to the ground after the car drove off. After being stranded by the driver, Lee staggered over to a nearby apartment building, only collapsed as the front door CCTV footage shared by Daily Mail showed. Unfortunately, the front desk was unmanned and the lobby emptied when the dying father slumped to the ground. The heavily bleeding tech giant struggled to crawl onto his hands and knees, where he fumbled his phone until the headlights of a passing car rushed in front of the building. Lee's raised his arm in his attempt to flag down the car and jump back onto his feet, but the driver sped away. Lee, drenched in blood and pale face, walks out of the frame, leaving drops of blood on the pavement. Lee called 911 at 2:34 a.m. He pled for help, yelling to dispatchers that he had been stabbed and needed to go to the hospital. Police arrived less than 6 minutes later and found Lee unconscious with 2 stab wounds to the chest. He was rushed to San Francisco General Hospital where he died. Police had not announced any arrest or names of suspects in the stabbing as of Thursday morning. The brutal stabbing in city's downtown Recone Hill neighborhood is a well-to-do area and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi district left a trail of blood along a sidewalk outside the building where Lee collapsed, according to the Standard. Police have not said whether the stabbing was random or targeted. Unreal. During a police commission meeting Wednesday, San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott said he had nothing to share yet. We don't want to premature and definitively, we don't have to speculate. So we're going to be thoughtful about following the evidence, and we put out as soon as we can, Scott said. Lee, who was a father of 2, had a long-time Bay Area resident, had recently moved back to Miami. He felt San Francisco was deteriorating. His friend Jake Shields said. Shields revealed Lee was attacked while he was walking. He was in the good part of the city that it appeared to be targeted in a random mugging or attack, Shield tweeted. His death sparked outrage within the tech industry and prompted giants like Elon Musk to express concern over public safety in the city. Many people I know have been severely assaulted, Musk tweeted. Violent crimes in San Francisco is horrific, and even if attackers are caught, they are often released immediately. Musk also asked San Francisco District Attorney Brooke Jenkins if the city was taking stronger action to incarcerate repeat offenders. Lee had served as a chief product officer of San Francisco-based cryptocurrency company MobileCon since November 2021. So rest in peace, Bob Lee, a young man that just seemingly had a lot going for him and, just scrubbed out. Family man, young daughters, brilliant mind, Cash App founder. I mean, I don't know anything about him personally, but from what I'm seeing, what they're sharing, look like a pretty well-adjusted guy, and that's just sad. I hope this, I hope they find the people that did this, the person that did this, and I think the person that drove away needs to be held accountable as well too, because clearly he was in peril and he needed help. I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm sad for that. It's just not cool. Not cool at all. All right, let's move on to another ridiculous story. I have no idea what's going on in America. I don't know where people's parents are, what values they're teaching their kids. But we got a good one from Florida. Let's check it out. Unbelievable. Florida boys aged 12, 16, 17 charged with murders of 3 teens. This is where we're at. I don't know where these people are getting these ideas. Where the hell are the parents for these children? What values are they teaching them? Marion County, Florida, three boys aged 12, 16, and 17 are charged with the murder of three friends in Central Florida. The Marion County Sheriff Office announced Friday that Robert Robertson, 17, Christopher Del Akins, 12 years old. Where are the parents of this child? And Tasia Bruton, 16, are all charged with first-degree murder. Robinson and Del Akins were arrested while Bruton is still at large. Sheriff Billy Woods said the boys are tied to various thefts in addition to the murders. He added each boy is associated with a gang. The two victims, 16-year-old girls and a 17-year-old boy, were all found shot dead. Shot dead. This is 12, 16, and 17-year-old kids, 12 years old, March 30th through April 1st. So we got a little mini story there. I do have the press announcement that I know the sheriff got a lot of shit for that, but we'll play that controversial press conference here in a second. But I do want to read through this article from Fox 35 Orlando. It says 2 boys arrested, 1 on the run in the murders of 3 teens in the Marion County, Florida sheriff says. Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods said Friday that 2 boys aged 12 and 17 have been arrested in the alleged murders of 3 teens in the rural part of Marion County, and that detectives were looking for a third suspect, a 16-year-old boy who was considered to be armed and dangerous. Sheriff Woods said the 2 boys were arrested on Thursday under suspicion of first-degree and premeditated murder. This is unbelievable. 12 and 16 years old. The 12-year-old was arrested at his home, and the 17-year-old, identified as Robert Robertson, was already in juvenile custody after being arrested earlier by a different agency. Robinson was also booked under the suspicion of robbery. Sheriff Woods also implored the community to help law enforcement find the 16-year-old Tasia Bruton. You know where he is, and you need to turn him in, he said. Now I will get him, and I will find him, and justice will be complete. A $10,000 reward late Friday. MCSO revealed that up to a $10,000 reward would be offered to the information that would lead to the arrest of Bruton. In a Facebook post, MCSO said Bruton should be considered armed and dangerous. He reportedly has active juvenile custody orders for multiple felony offenses in the arrest cases, including carjacking with a firearm, aggravated assault, grand theft of a motor vehicle, fleeing the attempt to elude law enforcement, and tampering with an electronic monitoring device. This kid already at the age of 16 is a career criminal. This is unbelievable. Where are the parents? What are the values that are being taught inside these houses? So we have the timeline here. Marion County triple homicide. Last week, 3 teenagers, 2 16-year-old girls and a 17-year-old boy were found with deadly gunshot wounds in separate locations in Marion County over the span of 3 days. Thursday, March 30th, deputies respond to a road near Forest Lakes Park in, Ocklawaha, Florida, and found a 16-year-old girl shot on the side of the road. She was taken to a hospital where she later died, and she was identified as Layla Silvernail. Friday, March 31st, deputies responded to Southeast 94th Street and Southeast 188th Court and found a 17-year-old boy with a gunshot wounds lying on the side of the road. He was pronounced dead at the scene. He had not been identified by authorities as his family requests. And the thing that was crazy about this, and I remember reading as this kind of was going on, a lot of people thought there was a serial killer in the area because they didn't know what the hell was going on. And these kids were showing up literally day by day, 3 days in a row. There was these murders of these young kids. Saturday, April 1st, deputies respond to the area of Melaleuca Loop and Melaleuca Loop Trace and found a car partially submerged in a lake and a 16-year-old girl with gunshot wounds in the trunk of the car. This is crazy, these crimes. The girl was pronounced dead. She was not identified by authorities at the request of the family. And you get a look of the suspects here. I believe one of them, the one to the far left, Robert Robertson, I think he was the 17-year-old. We're obviously not going to show the 12-year-old, but he's been arrested as well. Sheriff Woods said at the same point, all 6 individuals were in the same vehicle and believed that the shooting happened around the same time. 2 witnesses, according to the court papers, told deputies that they had heard the sounds of gunshot and saw a vehicle drive into a dumpster where Silvernail was eventually found. Is there a motive in the Marin County shooting? Sheriff Woods has described the shooting as an isolated incident and cautioned that there was not larger threat to the community nor was there a serial killer on the loose? Because remember, I said that there was rumors that there were. And he also shot down rumors of a 4th victim. During his Friday press conference, Sheriff Woods said a possible motive in the shooting was robbery. All 6 individuals, suspects, and victims knew each other and possibly were connected through the unorganized neighborhood gangs. Woods previously referred to them as possible hybrid or wannabe gangs. The investigators were able to determine that this group of juveniles were involved in committing burglaries and robberies, which they referred to as a lick, he said, adding the detectives had no info that the shootings were because of a rivalry between the 2 groups. Each and every one of them, in some shape or form, was associated with a gang, he said. At some point, these 3 individuals turned on the 3 victims and murdered them. They fled the scene and left a lot of evidence in their wake, Sheriff Woods said. Anyone with information on the teens' whereabouts was asked to contact the Marion County Sheriff Office. So that's from Fox 35 News. And what we're going to do now is play through that arrest press conference. And let me pull that up here. And we're going to play through this.
First of all, I appreciate everybody being here. And we're here for two reasons. Because of a very extremely tragic incident that has occurred. But on the other side of the coin, a conclusion to that tragedy.
Mandy.
As all of you are well aware, last Thursday, March 30th, we received a call near Forest Lakes Park, where our first victim, Layla Silvernail, was located suffering from a gunshot wound. She would later succumb to her injuries. The following morning, we responded to a location about a half a mile away and located a second victim deceased on the side of the road from an apparent gunshot wound. Then on Saturday, April 1st, my deputies located Layla's car abandoned and partially submerged in a pond about 9 miles from the location where she was found. My investigators located the 3rd victim inside of the car. And I'll go ahead and tell you, because you've been asking me for specific details. She was located in the trunk. Now, I want to clear up before we get into those details. Based on the interviews, digital evidence from her phone, she was there of her own free will. Now, I'm going to start off by thanking all of the entities. If there's ever a true example of law enforcement, communities coming together and a almost perfect collaboration to come to a conclusion in a week on a triple homicide, is truly amazing. Those entities include the FBI, FDLE, U.S. Marshal's Office, and in my opinion, probably the best state attorney in the state of Florida for the 5th Judicial Circuit, Bill Gladson's assistant state attorneys. OPD,
It is heartbreaking.
Detectives.
You know, it is heartbreaking. And the thing that's very heartbreaking in this case, it's 3 young individuals that basically are career criminals before their lives have even started. A 12-year-old. Where are their parents? Where is the school system? What values are being taught in these homes? It's sad.
Forensic professionals and our citizens
Beyond myself. I'm beyond.
who are
I'm
truly
beside myself.
amazing.
It's just
Now,
crazy.
this one's going to come a shock to you. That includes you, the media. You helped us of getting information. My emotions right now are all over the place because I am so proud of my guys and girls. I didn't do a damn thing, but they stepped up to the plate. And yes, you put information out there, and I'll admit this, you wore my ass out of interviews, you hounded me, but don't ever think I didn't use you as well to get the information I needed. Now, the investigators were able to determine that this group of juveniles were involved in committing burglaries and robberies, which they were referred to as a lick.
I wonder how many of the homes are fatherless homes too. And that's the sad thing about it, because we know that crime tends to go up in with kids that are raised in fatherless homes. I was raised in a fatherless home. My mom, after my mom and dad split when I was about 6 years old, my mom took on that role as protector and father. So she did double duty, and she did a goddamn good job, because technically I have a lot of strikes against me. I have the alcohol addicted father, the drug addicted father, being around crime, being around violence towards women, myself being abused by my father. I didn't do any of that stuff. My mother got me away, but she pulled double duty. And she made sure through those crucial years from 6 all the way up until I was at least 18 years old, protected me every single day and steered me in the right direction and made sure I was doing the right things. And believe me, I was no angel. I gave my mother a lot of shit, but I was never arrested. I never got into drugs, and I never drank. You know, I did my experimentation, but I never continued with any of that, where many of my friends did. And I had to make a crucial decision in my life after, you know, going through my teen years, playing in bands and kind of doing, touring. I got to a point of when I turned 20 and I looked around at the people that I was hanging out with, and they were falling, and they were falling fast. And I had to make a decision. Was I going to go in that direction, or use all the values and instincts that I was taught by my mother to make that decision to move ahead and move on with my life? And I dropped them. I dropped them in a second, and I began to work. Well, I was working at when you go to junior high and you get the working papers, the pink or blue paper or whatever. I was working at 14, but I made that decision at like 19, 20 to start working full time and pull away from these kids that I was involved with. And I had fun times, but when all the other shit started to come around, I knew I had to get out. I'm a statistic. I am a statistic that I should be an alcoholic, a drug addict, a violent felon. I should be in jail. And it probably would have happened if I went with my father. It definitely would have happened. My mother pulled double duty.
Now, although we had out there that was gang related, we have nothing specific to say that it was any rivalry or anything to such that cause. But however, each and every one of them, in some shape or form, is associated with a gang.
Believe me,
Basically,
it's like I can tell you some stories. Oh geez. Um, let's see. I've When my mom left my father was my dad was like a biker and hung out with a lot of those, types of, I guess, gangs. Never was a gang in a gang like the Hells Angels or anything, but my dad knew a lot of them. I look back and look at all the photographs, like at my mom's house, that she has of all the people that my dad hung out with, and we were around a lot of that, Hells Angels and stuff like that. And not that any of those people are bad, because they have helped us in a lot of times back in those early 80 years when we were when we needed stuff and needed help. So I won't ever down any of those people. My father to this day and my mom to this day still knows of them, but doesn't hang out with any of them. But when we left, my mom, uh, I've been through a lot of weird experiences, things that I should not have experienced when I was a kid. Uh, Moving around the country a lot, ending up in just weird places for periods of time. And but my mom was always good about getting back and making sure that I was in school. Um, I've seen a lot of the country at a very, very young age. I only really technically need to visit a few more states, which would be kind of cool. I'd love to knock that off my list. I think I only need like 6 more states. Um, we hid down in Florida for a little while. We were in Utah. We were in Vermont. I was in Texas for a little while. Um, it was strange. I had a strange childhood. I've been through a lot. It's crazy to think. But my mom was always very good about making sure that we made it back. I was in school, and then shit would happen. We'd have to kind of move around a little bit, and it's it's crazy. And here I sit here at 45 years old, and I've had uh I've had a little bit of contact with my dad over the years. And the funny thing is my father only lives like 40 minutes from me. My mom lives the next street over. And I think the biggest thing that I struggle with in my life, and I'm sorry I'm going off on a tangent here. I think the biggest thing that I've struggled, and I'm really opening up tonight. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I think the biggest thing that I've really struggled with is the relationship with my father. And I think it's wow, I'm really opening up tonight. Uh this will have to turn into a private stream after. Um but I think the biggest thing that I have uh I think the biggest thing that I struggle with it is I need to hear why, and I need to hear I'm sorry, but I don't think I'll ever get that. And the funny thing is, I was just talking about this with a colleague at my work the other day, and he went into, you need to forgive him first. So I've always thought about, just like, literally over the past couple of weeks, this has been bugging me. I literally have thought about, like, picking the phone up and calling him and saying, "Hey, could you meet me?" Or just, I don't know. I don't know the approach. I don't know if I should yell, if I should be mad, because we've never had that talk. Like, yeah, I've spent time with him over the years, maybe a day or two, or, a couple years will go by, and uh, we might see each other for a day or two. When my brother passed away, we spent some time together, but I have never had that talk. And the thing that's very strange about it is, um, when I see him, it's just the only thing that he talks about is work. It's always like, oh, this happened in the truck, because my dad is a union driver, and that's all we ever talk about. And I'm just like, we have nothing in common. It's weird. But I've gone to the approach of, should I call him and yell at him and say, you son of a bitch, and do you know what what you've put me through and the things that you've caused? Or it could be the, hey, I forgive you approach. And the thing is, I want to know everything about him. I want to know everything about his life. He's never told me anything about his life. I want to know about when he met my mother and what those years were like, and his, struggle with drugs and alcohol. And I want to hear about all the things that the bad stuff. I want to hear the bad stuff, and I want to hear the good stuff. And the thing that's really strange too is that I do remember good things about him, that uh when my parents were together, uh, uh, I remember, like, going to like WWF wrestling matches, and Ringling Brother Circus, and every GI Joe toy and He-Man I had. I mean, I had all that. I had everything. It was always this monetarial stuff, but it was never like real love. And it was just weird. And I think the reason I'm talking about this is this kind of this uh uh, uh, situation has probably triggered some stuff in me to kind of talk about it this evening. And uh, I didn't think I was going to go off like this. But I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should call him and yell at him and say, look what you've done. Do I call him and say, hey, I forgive you? Or do I call and see him and say, I am sorry for not being the son and living up to your expectation? I don't know. I don't know what the approach should be. It's eating me. It eats at me every single day. I don't think we do have anything in common. And then the thing that's sad is that all we have, like, like all we have is like, I don't want to get like a call that my dad is dead, because the way that I look at it is that he missed out on me. I didn't miss out on him. Sorry, guys. This is kind of a weird stream tonight. It's totally off the cuff, but I think this story is kind of triggered. It's like, where are the fathers? Where are the parents? Boy, wow, it's crazy. O'Brien says forgiveness sometimes is a long journey. It is, but it's like I'm getting older. It's like I need to get this shit off my chest. George saying, give a call. You never know. I think it's just fear. It's fear. Manny says, do what you want. Let him have it. You deserve it. The hardest part is to understand is why you didn't try to be there for me. What is most important to me? All kids want is time. Maybe he can tell you why he made mistakes. That brings understanding and forgiveness. You are the man. He isn't. It's his loss. Forgive him silently and be bigger and better. The thing is like, I know he loves me. I just don't know if he understands how to show that. It's crazy. There's a lyric. I'll read it to you really quick. And this lyric, I wake up reciting this lyric every single day. I've almost gone to lengths to almost tattoo it on my arm. It's from uh it's from the band Nirvana. And I'm going to read the lyric to you. It's in verse 2 of the song by to Serve the Servants, which was on Nirvana's last album, if anybody's into that, In Utero. So the lyrics say, as my bones grew, they did hurt. They hurt really bad. I tried hard to have a father, but instead I had a dad. I just want you to know that I don't hate you anymore. There is nothing I can say that I haven't thought before. And it's true. A father and a dad is two completely different people. Um I think just fear of his reaction. It's not a bad idea. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, let's move on with this story. I'm sorry, guys. This kind of went off into a weird tangent, but let's keep playing through this pressy.
Simple terms, there
Before I
is
get
no honor
crying, I have to
among
shut the stream
thieves.
down.
And at some point,
Wow, I really opened
these
up to
three
you guys
individuals
today.
turned on our three victims and murdered them. Two of them right there. They fled the scenes, but left a lot of evidence in their wake.
Thank you, sir.
Through
Appreciate
the
you.
cooperation of the agencies that I previously mentioned and my office, we were
I don't
able
even think I just don't even I don't even think he would know what to say. Yeah, it's tough. All right, let's keep playing through this.
to begin compiling all of the evidence
Boy,
and finding these killers. Now, we were shocked and saddened by the violence, as all of my citizens, because we are shocked not only are the victims juveniles, but the murderers are juveniles as well. I know each of you in the media here and viewers out there probably heard
yeah, he
us
doesn't
in
know.
law enforcement or even in community events talk about what is the problem. And I'm going to go ahead and address the first thing that I know it's going to come up.
So this is where the sheriff got some shit for saying some stuff here, and then the media came out. The liberal media had to attack him, come after him. But we'll listen here
Because there are individuals out there viewing, and to include some of you media, that want to blame the one thing
It's going to say guns.
has no ability or the capacity to commit the crime itself. And that's the gun. These individuals committed the crime.
That's right.
So what's
This
the
is where the
solution?
sheriff got shit wrong.
I wish I could
Now, listen,
give you
I
that
understand
answer.
that a lot of people, a lot of my viewers are going to have different opinions on guns. I understand that. It's a very touchy subject here in America. I am I'm center. I say I'm like center right. I believe in the Constitution. I follow the Constitution. Things like who you want to go to bed with at night doesn't bother me. If you want to wake up and be a unicorn one day, so be it. Things like that are not going to affect me. I'm drugs and alcohol. I mean, as you can see, I'm a little tough on that stuff. I think there's a lot of other stuff. I have a lot of political stuff, but I lean center right on a lot of issues. I'm very fiscally conservative. I can be a little bit more liberal in social views. I don't care. You want to go to bed with a unicorn? Go to bed with a unicorn. Doesn't bother me. You want to be gay? That's fine. If that's the way you feel inside, whatever, be what you want to be. Stuff like that doesn't bother me. But listen, I'm a constitutionalist. I follow the Constitution. If it's in the Constitution, it's kind of where I sit in my channel. So anyway, we'll keep playing on here.
Sure. Because this world would be a whole lot better. But the fact is, society fails it.
Yeah.
We do not hold our juveniles accountable. We minimize their actions.
I mean, clearly we have a major issue in this country, and I'm gonna preference here another issue. Listen, what just happened in that shooting in Tennessee? You had clearly an individual that was suffering with mental health issues. It was documented mental health issues, legally bought guns, brought that into a school and murdered a bunch of people. And thank God that we had amazing law enforcement in that area that did not falter and think for a second, went in and neutralized the threat. And the funny thing is, there's backlash that the police went in and neutralized this person that was clearly armed, dangerous, and had killed people. The police are the assholes in this, not the person the mental case that went in and decided to do this. I think that we do need gun reform in the sense of what is so difficult to put into a law. If you have a mental health condition or you are under any type of mental health profession at a time and tried to purchase a gun, you should be red flagged and say, sorry, you can't have a gun. That is the big issue. It's mental health. It's not the gun. It's the individual that is doing it. That's my opinion. I know that may not fly with some people here, but the gun did not do it. The gun did not pull the trigger itself. The person behind it did. And I'm not here to debate, gun issues with people. I understand. I think there can be a lot more stricter laws, but it is our right in this country to own one. And that's why it was written in the Constitution. So if it's our right to bear arms. So you don't have things that happen with the British trying to take over again. So that's our right. That's why we moved here, to be a free and open country society. We got a lot of issues in this country, and it's affecting a lot of young people. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think a lot of it too is the issue of a lot of things that are spread around social media. I always say this little puppy right here is one of the worst inventions that have ever gotten into a human's hands. Because there is so much access to information, and the crap that goes around on these things now is ridiculous as well. And it starts at a very, very young age. And I think parents, some of the parents are very irresponsible, because what they do is this becomes the babysitter, and they hand it to a child at I'm seeing toddlers now with iPads in their hands, with mothers strolling around giving them this. And I think it's just a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea. So let's keep playing through.
Let me tell you why I say this. Last night, I had to stare into the eyes of two mothers. It's not their fault. Because what I saw last night was two mothers who are willing to give their sons everything, do everything for them, and give them their own lives. But just like you and I, no matter how much we teach them, because I am a father.
It's red. It's not pink.
I'm
far from liberal.
And I cannot fathom what they were going through.
Yeah.
These mothers and mothers across this nation need all of your help. Because here's what infuriates me. I've got a particular media who has a problem with putting photos of juveniles out. Now we do it.
It's the 11.
What the law says we can do.
It's an old phone.
Put these photos out. I put myself in the shoes of those mothers because I heard one of them say it. I wish I would have known what this one was doing and who they were, because my kid never would have hung out with them.
And now her son is lost forever.
And believe to minimize any actions that is criminal.
You know, I almost think this gentleman's speaking as a father too.
Of a juvenile is a disservice, and frankly, stupid to think.
Excuse me.
We need to hold them accountable. And then hope that we can change them.
Anybody in here from Florida that lived close to this case? Let me know. Or knew of this case if you lived in Florida.
I'm not going to be able to give you everything because there is a third suspect that we were unable to locate last night. But however, you will receive, you may already have it, the probable cause affidavit that tells you the details of the events that occurred. I will tell you this. I already told you of the witness hearing the gunshots. That is when all three were killed. The suspects were in the vehicle. This individual, who is a juvenile also, is who we're looking for. Now, I'm talking to the viewers. Some of you know him, you know where he is, and you need to turn him in. Now, I will get him. I will find him, and justice will be completed. As you can imagine, my thoughts are all over this page right now. Fighting these type of crimes requires all of us to come together as a community. And Marion County stepped up to the plate. And we've been successful. Now, I know I've forgotten something and I'm missing something.
That's right.
So I'm gonna
Andy Joe, you're so dead on.
Any type of motive given.
Mentioned it. Robbery.
Robbery.
Sheriff Woods,
Go to her first.
I want to clarify. I know you said the suspects were in the vehicles. Are you saying all 6 were in there at one time?
Yes, ma'am.
And so
Marion County, Firefly, Central Florida.
in the vehicle, and that's how this unfolded.
That's correct.
In the commission of a robbery of the 3 victims.
Not going to get into too many more of those details because of the third suspect being out.
Sheriff Woods, Ted Williams with Fox News. Did the suspects and the 3 dead teens, have you been able to determine how long they've known each other?
Not entirely short time.
Short time.
Sheriff, you mentioned the gun. Do we know how the suspect got a hold of the weapon?
Car burglaries. Yeah. Ain't that right? All the gun laws we got in place didn't prevent it, did it?
Ooh, he's hot.
Neither will any new ones. Because here's the fact. The bad guy is going to get a gun no matter what law
Yep.
you have put in place.
100% correct.
These juveniles shouldn't even possess a handgun. But they did. And I'll go back to you. Add your question. A simple burglary, as some people will say, but I don't consider anything simple when it comes to a burglary. The law allows me, I'll plaster their face up on this page, up on my page, up on media. I will hand it out if the law allows me, because parents have the right to know who their kids are hanging out
Right.
with and preventing this.
Yep. I agree.
What did the suspect's parents say when you spoke with them about their arrest?
I personally didn't speak to them about the arrest. It was immediately after the interviews in which I talked to the mother.
I think it depends on the state, Mama.
But really, they don't have a whole lot to say. If you're a parent, put yourself in their shoes.
Different in every state, I believe.
Holy hell.
State issue.
Panic. I'm scared to death as a parent. Embarrassed. Ashamed.
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
Have
good
you tried
morning.
putting butter in your coffee?
Yeah.
Coffee is one of the healthiest.
What do you think they're going to say?
Sheriff Woods, do you know if these three juveniles will be tried as adults?
All right. State Attorney's Office is reviewing that right now. Okay. So I don't want to say yes and then it turn around no, then you'll end up calling me a liar at some point. So
What is
This guy's awesome.
about that? So what does accountability look like for you? I know you talked about juveniles being held accountable for their actions.
Oh, this guy's great.
I will refrain an awful lot on that answer to this question to the full extent of the law. Okay. Don't take me wrong. I might be hard on people, but I also have a heart. And I've already told you, I am a father. But here's the one thing my boys know. Growing up, the freaking barber had my permission to whip their asses. And not only that, when this stuff came up on TV, I pointed them. I said, you don't have to worry about the law coming after you. Full extent. Because they took a life. Are y'all comprehending that?
Right. Media doesn't.
They took a life
Yeah.
without thought.
Right. With disregard.
They deserve the full extent of the law.
I like this guy. Liar.
I personally haven't, but have we? Minimum contact. I can tell you right now. I know somebody over here had a question.
Sure.
Andy?
Do I understand correctly that the three victims were an active part of crimes prior to their deaths with these three? Is that correct?
I don't want to give too much detailed information, okay? But let me put it this way. My dad was a fireman. Always said, where there's smoke, there's fire, okay? Folks, don't ask dumbass questions. And Andy, I apologize. But really? Do I have to spell it out to you? What do you think they were doing? They're associated with a gang. And I've told some of y'all in interviews, gangs don't go to church on Sunday and then preach the gospel for the next 6 days. They're gangs because they commit crimes.
A lot of this comes, as Pamela says, unless all the parents work hard to raise good kids, we're all doomed. It's to be that way, not just so, it used to be that way, not so much today. A lot of the problem is that a lot of families have fatherless families. That's the problem. If there's not a male figure in that home, the statistics that young child would get in trouble with committing a crime or anything like that is very high. That's the problem. There's not a lot of people that stay together in a a nuclear family nowadays. We have I can get into a lot of political things, but I'm trying not to do that here. But that is a lot of the problem. Fatherless homes.
How simple is this
No
idea?
guidance. The schools don't even
Where
get.
are we losing it?
Listen, the school system doesn't even give guidance anymore. They're just more worried about the 32 genders that you're going to be. They don't give any guidance now.
And I know we're going long, but this is my press conference, not yours.
Sheriff,
Yes.
If all 6 were committing crimes, do you know why the 3 turned on the other 3?
I can't divulge that. I wish I could tell you. I'll tell you when we get this one. Okay. Listen, I want to tell you everything. I really do.
Ooh,
and since
hot.
day one, I've wanted to tell you anything. They have had a leash on me like you wouldn't believe. Next.
It's gonna be something
Somebody
stupid.
new.
Do we know the timeline of the 3 victims in terms of when they were shot? Was it all at once? And then
Yeah, you're right, Chosen. We're very, very soft.
Hold back.
Come a very soft society.
You heard the bosses.
Do you know how they were apprehended? Were they hanging out somewhere? How were you able to catch up with them?
Do you want?
The one subject on the previous photo, Rob Robinson, was in custody already at the juvenile detention facility. And the Christopher Atkins, the 12-year-old, we located him at his house yesterday after serving a search warrant.
They weren't on the run or anything. They seemed surprised you didn't see you show up.
Yes, they were very surprised we showed up.
Are you able to make any statements as to what they said?
I'll leave that to the sheriff.
No, you'll get that eventually. We told you he was in DJJ. He was arrested by OPD the next morning after.
I did look to see if the one is still on, the one suspect is still on the loose, and he is. They still haven't found him yet.
The murder.
what were the charges on that?
You don't offend
In
anyone.
a fray at the school. Oh, that's what I call a light bulb coming on right there. Remember I just talked about minimizing and holding students accountable?
Yeah.
Our school districts, not just here, I'm not going to point out just mine. School districts across this state and across this nation need to quit minimizing the actions of their students.
Boom. There you go. I love
Hold
it.
them accountable.
Yep.
That's where the failure is.
And I just said that. No fathers, schools, you know, what we're teaching our kids now.
We're going to hold that one.
Did all 3 have guns, or was it just one gun? And which one pulled the trigger? Do we know that?
All right. Some of that I'm not going to answer.
Dina likes
Some of
it.
it I will. The one I
O'Brien
will
likes it.
is the 2 confessed to shooting our 3rd victim in the trunk.
How many guns were involved?
I'm not going to answer that one. I appreciate your questions. You wouldn't be doing your job if you didn't ask. Any others?
Sheriff, is the 3rd suspect, does the public need to worry about him?
No, the community doesn't need to worry about them outside of, I want them to find them. That's what they need to worry about, is locating him for me. And they do. If you ain't ever watched my Wanted by Woods Wednesday, that's successful and they find them. I'll allow one more.
Are these juveniles all students at the same school?
No. All righty. Thank you.
All right, that wraps up that news conference, as we have learned that 2 arrests have
Why we
been made.
always
One
talk
suspect
like
is
that?
still wanted in connection with the murders there. Of
With
3
the murders there. They always have these weird voices in media. And like I always notice at like baseball games too. And like sports broadcasters. This guy right here is gonna get it done.
teenagers over a span of 3 days there. You can see that news conference just wrapping up over in Marion County. I do want to bring in a guest now to help break down everything that we did just learn during that news conference here. Let's bring in Joe Thompson,
bring
a
this
retired
guy
NYPD
in to give us
detective
his perspective.
and host of YouTube's Crime Talk with Joe Thompson. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Hey, Josh, thanks for having me. Good morning.
Of course. So what stood out to you there? Because I believe at one point he did say one of those suspects was just 12 years old.
Yeah, wow. This is a crazy case here. Listening to some of the details, I mean, obviously, we're left here with some more questions and answers from that press conference. But the sheriff did a tremendous job. I mean, you could tell how passionate he was about this case and overall. But yeah, this is definitely going to be one of these tricky ones where you wonder what these kids were thinking.
Do you think, and we have not seen the
weren't
paperwork
thinking, that's
just
the
yet,
problem.
the arrest reports and things of that nature that are going to be released by the Marion County Sheriff really any minute now, so we'll be able to get our hands on them. Do you think in a case like this, there are going to be a lot of specifics that are released, or do you think they're going to hold a
This
lot
guy
close to the
right
vest
here
there,
is gonna get in.
and release only what they have to?
Well, most likely they're going to hold back a lot until the third suspect is taken into custody. For obvious reasons, you know, they don't want to jeopardize the trial down the line. So he refrained very well in the press conference. I understand his.
All right, I'm not going to play too much more of this, but I do want to play the perp walk of the two individuals that were arrested. Let's play that. This is the 12-year-old. Mama, I don't even think he honestly realizes what's going on. He doesn't understand the reality of it. He didn't understand the repercussions of it. And this young man's now life is over, and other lives were taken, and he will never go on to be anything. He's going to be probably behind bars for the rest of his life. And it's sad. But I look at and say, where are the parents in this case? Where's the school system that failed this young child? Where's the support system around him? It's sad. It's heartbreaking. I'm sure. I'm sure.
This is how it goes. What is it? Camera.
So he was asking what the camera was for, and he said, look, this is the way it is now. You're going to be all over the news.
License right here. It's just the way it is, man. Yeah. That's all I just turned it on. What is it? The news.
Another one. Young man's lives are, that's it. It's ruined.
Losing shit.
And that's it. They'll have their day in court. Oh, boy. All right, let's pull up. I'm going to play reactions to Sheriff Woods on either side of the aisle. So I'm going to give you a Republican view of what he said and a liberal view. Let's pull up this one first. We'll get through this commercial.
And there's no place like
on
Wakefield
Cuomo
to make the morning
on News
chaos
Nation, or liberal
organized
News
chaos.
Nation. Play this.
Safely. And I get the arguments on both sides. Juveniles aren't adults. You don't want to ruin them for the rest of their lives. But I get the social impact of having a sense of accountability. I get the arguments. I want to get a little bit more into the complexity of it. Because the odds are, if you talk to the mothers who are dealing with the worst thing in the world, which is losing a child, they wind up being very quick advocates for making sure that it can never happen to anybody else. And as we know, crime is complicated. And why this happened is complicated. But we also know that we do very little to stop it in any way. And I mean that as a gun owner, across the board, how we educate the kid, how we deal with consequences for kids, how we deal with opportunities for kids, how we deal with avenues to dignity for kids, and how we deal with how our society addresses how people store their weapons, how easily you can get them, where illegal firearms come from, how they're sold. I think we should be addressing all of it. Why would you be closed off to anything that might make you have to do this one less time?
Because here's the thing. There's this precious little piece of paper that sits in Washington, D.C. It's called the Constitution of the United States. And our founding fathers put the Second Amendment in there for a clear reason. And I get the argument. You know, people talk about their kids dying. But there was a specific reason. And if we as a society think that we cannot be that.
Manny, I'm going to delete that chat because you don't want to have stuff like that in the chat. You don't want to say those words and get me banned.
Will not repeat
Careful
itself.
saying stuff
You're
like
foolish.
that. I know you didn't mean it in any bad way, but you got
That piece of
You don't
paper
think we
has
can do
something
any better?
Can we do better? Yeah, oh, absolutely, we can do better. But the better isn't the one focus on one particular thing. You name particular laws that are in place.
Here's the thing, you know, just to answer this, Firefly, couples are not having children at the rate that we used to. You know, my generation, probably your generation, it's just young couples are not having kids anymore. I mean, young kids, and I mean, probably a little gross here, but young kids, teenagers, their 20s, but they're not having sex anymore either. So, you know, that's a big problem that the nuclear family is almost out. We will not have that anymore.
All we're doing is keep compounding, putting law after law after law that has zero effect. Listen, here in the state of Florida, convicted felon cannot possess a firearm. You know how many convicted felons we come in contact to possess a firearm?
Millions.
Most.
The law is ineffective. Yeah, I can
Well,
charge
a little
them.
bit. Yeah, I mean, look, the argument's about enforcement. It's about availability. I'm not saying it's a panacea. I just, you know, I'm a gun owner. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not going to be that big a hypocrite. But I think most gun owners are responsible, store and keep their weapon safely, and don't want just anybody getting them. And frankly, most of us are frustrated that nobody knows how to use the weapon, that there's really no training that goes along with it. But do you understand why people got fired up that a man who's supposed to be keeping them safe seemed like he didn't care how many guns there were in society when the argument you make, guns don't kill people? Well, none of the things that kill us on their own. Fentanyl doesn't kill you if you don't take it, right? Drugs don't kill you if you don't put them in you, but we make them illegal because that's all that can happen if you do. Guns are the same way. That's why we see most of our death is what? Suicide, right? That's the #1 gun crime. I'm just saying, are you really that closed off to putting everything on the table?
Absolutely, I am. Because here's the one thing. You don't have a constitutional right to take fentanyl or any other drug. You have a constitutional right to possess a firearm. And as much as distasteful as it is, even people that are out here that, well, we may not like. And if a criminal hasn't done certain things that rises to the level of a felony, even they have the right to possess a firearm. And don't get me wrong, I know people are going to take that statement right there and just run with it or make something totally out of what I'm saying. Okay? But the fact is there is things that you cannot compromise. And that's the Constitution of this United States. You can't.
I hear you, but you know the law.
I love
you know
show.
that it's not an unrestricted right. And you know that it's only in recent
couldn't
history
even
that we
have
even
a show
attached
like
an
Penny Hill
individual
on
right to it
TV
because its
now. People would
original
get offended.
incentive was, of course, derivative of then General Washington, then President Washington, and his right for a well-organized and regulated and armed militia, so he didn't have to keep giving them weapons. So we've evolved or devolved depending on your politics. But I just know that we can do better. And when somebody's in charge of keeping us safe, we just hope that they're as open-minded as well, even though you don't create the laws, but you do have to
I
execute.
think, just to answer your question here, I think they were all killed on the same day, but the bodies were dumped 3 days apart to make it seem like they weren't all together. That's probably what they tried to do. So that was News Nation's take on this. You know, you got a very liberal side. We'll take a look now at Fox News and see what they had to say on this.
Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods joins me now. Billy, where did tough love go in society?
It left a long time ago, Jesse. That's what's disappointing. You know, I've been doing this for 33 years in law enforcement. And in those 33 years, it has diminished greatly. And that's what's infuriating. You know, we in law enforcement, we talk about this all the time, but nobody listens. And you just put out there what I said. They want to blame something else. They want to point the finger at something else. And truthfully, I get tired of it. I get tired of it every single day. You know, I don't just utter words. When I talk about schools, it's stuff that I see. It's stuff that I've experienced. These kids today, you know, and I ain't saying every one of them, and I'm not blaming the teachers. The teachers do a phenomenal job. It's all the discipline that the system lacks to hang on them.
It was canceled in 1995.
Fails to recognize it and then solve the problem. And the problem is, you know, we look at the shootings. It breaks your heart, number one. Today, I went through a lot of emotions, anger, you name it. It was there. And they want to blame it. It ain't the guns. You're absolutely right. It has absolutely nothing to do with the gun.
Do you think that parents or judges, prosecutors don't want the responsibility to deliver tough love and they just want to blame it on some vague gun legislation?
I don't know if they don't want it. I don't think they just don't have the courage to do it, to stand up to whatever is pushing on them to say don't do it and have I don't want to say no feelings. You got feelings for anything. You heard me. I love my boys. But I wanted to make sure that they succeeded in life and didn't get in trouble. And the only way you're going to accomplish that is so that they understand that there's consequences to their actions. And look, I get it. You teach children as much as you want out there. And there's going to be some that absolutely do not listen to you. They're going to be an adult. And you got good parents out there that shows them the way. And they stray away. But I'm talking, they absolutely ignore it. It's a combination of things, Jesse. It's a lack of parenting in the home. It's the families. It's lack of them standing up. They want to be a best friend or they want to let their kid go and do everything. Here's what I've seen in the last 33 years increase. What happens here an awful lot of time, we have local cinemas around here. And around 10 o'clock, so the parents can go do stuff. You know what they do? They go and drop them off at a cinema. That's their daycare for the evening while they go and do stuff. And then leave it to us in law enforcement to respond there and take care of them. Then they yell at us for even putting handcuffs on them because they just broke into the vehicle that's in that parking lot.
Do you ever confront the parents?
Oh, absolutely.
What do they say?
They blame us. They either blame us or their kid didn't do it or they put it off. I had one parent. I'll make this quick for you because I love this dad. And it was one evening about halfway through my career. They had stolen a vehicle. We called them in the parking lot of a cinema. We called each of the parents because they had stolen their uncle's car.
Thank you.
And the last kid's dad shows up, walks over there. And of course, the uncle didn't want to do anything, but dad shows up, looks at his son and says, "Get your ass in my car." And that's all he said. Didn't even acknowledge us. And then he about drove off. He turned around and says, "Officers, I apologize. Be assured I'll take care of the problem."
Yeah.
That's a parent. And combined
That's
with
a good point, Chosen. Whatever happened to the DARE programs? Yeah, well, we don't have that anymore. Remember, police are bad. We need to defund all that. Defund all those programs.
It's the lacks of these school districts out here who want to hide. This is what I see. A lot of time hide what these kids are doing. And I mentioned that I have one particular local media or print media. Let's put it that way. A print one wants to criticize myself and another police chief here in Marion County for us putting the photos of kids up on a screen, on our social media to say, hey, look, everybody, this one right here is doing stuff wrong, is doing stuff in your neighborhood. And if he or she's hanging out with your kid, you need to know about it.
Right.
That's part of the problem.
Yeah, the media is definitely a big part of the problem. Trust me, I know almost better than anybody. Well, Sheriff, thank you so much. And we wish you could be the sheriff in every county in the country with that kind of attitude. I love the passion. I love your heart. And thank you for joining us, and have a happy Easter weekend. All right.
And that's it. That is the perspective of the sheriff. So, listen, we got I just want to bring some attention to both of those cases this evening. I'm sorry I went off a little bit of a tangent in the middle of the show about my family and fatherless problems, but I felt like it was warranted and relative to what was going on in this case. Tomorrow night we have Koberger. We're going to get back into that. I'm going to drop the link here in the chat so you guys can go over and hook up with that as a reminder. That'll be 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tomorrow we're going to get back into Koberger. I have a lot to go over there, a lot of speculation, a lot of opinions of what's going on. I'm sure you guys have all been following what's going on out there. They're now saying that there's been some sources that are saying that the IDs that were found in the glove box in a glove were possibly some of the victims' IDs. And if that is the case, that's going to be very hard for Mr. Koberger's defense team to come up with an explanation of why they were there. Also, as you guys and ladies know, that I recently just dropped a video about Pennsylvania police are now looking into cold cases. And I know a few of you have been emailing me about that. So thank you very much. As to one particular one that is in and around the area of where Brian Koberger's parents lived. And a glove in a box inside a plastic glove. That's what I meant to say. True Crimes is dating a man that can't grow a beard. You find out they are only half the man. Yeah, in a glove in a box. So, inside sources are saying that. It's crazy. This is a very seesaw battle. It's like seesaw information. One day you feel like it's information that comes out that a source might leak. It's for the prosecution, and then you have a source that might leak for the defense, and it's really, really crazy. I still think there's a lot of compiling evidence against Koberger. I feel like they have the right person in custody for this crime. So we can talk about that all tomorrow night. I want to call this one a night. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do Koberger tomorrow. Sundays are the big shows. Hey, I appreciate everybody hanging out. Casual Saturday night stream, no real agenda. I want to get bring those two cases some attention. Hey, listen, we got shut down. I talked some personal life stuff tonight, and we got to watch the zombies of Kensington Ave. I really feel bad for those people. It's terrible, but hopefully, I don't think that's ever going to get, those situations are ever going to get taken care of until we get real leadership in those areas, clean the place up, get those people some real help. But I'm going to call this a final stream for tonight. I'm going to wait a couple more seconds, because I like round numbers. We'll be at the 2:30 mark. 2.5 hours tonight on the Opinionated Idiot YouTube channel. Free form Saturday night, no real agenda. I appreciate all of you here that hung out this evening. Listen, you all have a happy Easter tomorrow if you celebrate Easter or whatever holiday you prefer to celebrate. Hope everybody has a good day. I will be back tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you all there. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, you know my email address. Just drop me an email. I always respond. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. It was fun. It's fun to kind of goof around a little bit tonight, not be so serious. All right, guys and ladies and gentlemen, have all a great night. Like I said, if anybody wants to reach out, you can email me, theopinionatedidiot@gmail.com. If you're new here, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, give this a thumbs up on the way out. And in this description below, if anybody wants to send any fail mail, my personal P.O. box is in there as well, too. All right, folks, wrap it up. Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you.